Well, of course, any changes to trade agreements, especially NAFTA, is going to impact the auto industry. And tomorrow, the president meets with the CEOs of the big three automakers. Today, the heads of Ford and Tesla were at the White House. But can the president get car makers to build more vehicles in the U.S.? And if it does happen, how much could it drive up the cost of cars and trucks here in the U.S.? Phil LeBeau takes a look.
Meeting in the Roosevelt Room of the White House, President Trump told dozens of CEOs it's time to build more in the U.S.
We want to start making our products again. We don't want to bring them in, we want to make them here.
For the auto industry, building more cars and trucks in America would mean a dramatic change. Last year, just 57% of the cars and trucks sold in the U.S. were built here. Of those imported, most came from Mexico, Canada, and Japan, a country where the big three have long struggled to sell cars due to Japanese regulations.
If, as an example, we sell a car into Japan and they do things to us that make it impossible to sell cars in Japan, and yet they sell cars into us and they come in like by the hundreds of thousands on the biggest ships I've ever seen, we have to all talk about that. It's not fair.
It's too soon to know if President Trump will succeed in driving more auto production to the U.S. But the CEO of Ford, whose company dropped plans for an assembly plant in Mexico following harsh criticism from the president, is encouraged by the discussion.
It was a very, very positive meeting, and I think very positive meeting for the United States of America and manufacturing in general.
If the automakers import fewer vehicles and are forced to build more in the U.S., where labor costs are higher, analysts say prices for cars and trucks would likely go up. How much is unclear. And how willing are automakers to add assembly plants for small cars and crossovers that have thin profit margins? After bankruptcies rocked the auto industry during the last recession, many automakers and parts suppliers are cautious about adding costs. But they also realize the U.S. auto market is the most lucrative one in the world, and competing here could increasingly mean building here. Phil LeBeau, Nightly Business Report, Chicago.